conversation.
I looked at it on Facebook and I read the speech and I'm yet to find it.
Be a part of the debate.
What he needs to do is to allow the people to do their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach, because when he makes those suggestions, he is in a sense misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it. On target.
So I'm your host, Kelvin Daly, and I thank you for joining us once again.
Join the conversation.
I looked at it on Facebook and I read the speech and I'm trying to find out what is the commitment to renal failure in Nevis, and I'm yet to find it.
Be a part of the debate.
What he needs to do is to allow the people to do their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach, because when he makes those suggestions, he is in a sense misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020visionradio.com or its advertisers.
Let us put our hands together for Papa Wheeler!
Total zombie and beater. Take it away.
Local fans decreasing.
By the numbers they keep dropping.
No, but they don't shout.
Shout no more. Like they used to shout before.
Boy, disgruntled fans, they crumbling about promised songs. Fail on delivering. Boy, start song and can't finish it.
It's standard English, singing stupendous nonsense.
Why don't you sing a song and again?
Tell me what happened to me fair share. When the money disappear.
Ooh yeah, boy.
Stewardship in question here.
Bringing them to shout for me.
I wanted to roll, roll for me.
I'm gonna be rocking down the complex.
Yes, leave the no crown the king. Boy, I do we like the doctor. Placing their campus suicide bomber.
Bringing them to shout for me.
I wanted to roll for me.
I'm gonna be mashing up the complex.
Yes, if they don't prove it, king, boy, I do it like the doctor. Placing their campus suicide bomber.
Boy, bringing them to shout for me.
I wanted to roll for me.
Anything you want, you go get. Boy, I'm mixing up the soca.
With some Hindi and some rumba, chutney and lavandera.
I didn't know necessary.
Boy, we calypso mercenary.
Bringing them to shout for me.
I wanted to roll for me. Maintain your impulso, todo zombie and Peter.
Boy,
Take it away.
I'm gonna be chartering airlines.
See bridge and see taxi. Bringing them to shout for me. I want them to roar for me. You don't know.
You got to spend big money.
If you wanna win monarchy,
I go got the diaspora.
420 in my corner. Boy, share the life, boy.
Press like, subscribe, sharing.
All here the diaspora's king.
Your king go be knocking down your airport.
Knocking down, broken down
Hospital walls.
training geothermal.
Let the Jewish people sing the song. These Hebrew boys don't understand. Begging them to load for me. I want them to run for me. I'll be rocking down the complex.
Yes, if they don't throw me king, do it like the doctor, president, compass, suicide bomber.
Bringing them to shout for me.
I want them to run for me.
Anything you want, you go get.
Yes,
I'm mixing up the soca
with some Hindi
and some rumba.
Chuck ni a la bandera. ID no necessary. Please calypso mercenary. Boy, bring it to the sound for me. I want it raw, raw for me. Vente del impulso. Todo son bienvenida. Take the momentum. Everybody is welcome. Thank you.
Come on, Tulu.
Papa Wheeler.
Yeah, Papa Wheeler in the house. Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of On Target. And I'm your host, Kelvin Daly. In studio with me, bright and early, the man, Hensley Daniel. And then followed closely by Tulu Weeks. We're all here together because we love you so much. We need to bond and share information and digest and make sense of what's happening here on Nevis. And so if you're on the FM dial, if you're on the Twitch, YouTube, or on Facebook, if you're on St. Kitts, Nevis, or in the diaspora, good afternoon to each and every one of you. And of course, I have to recognize the 5 very studious persons who decided to clock in the first 5 positions. And first up, Kittishan King, my brother from St. Kitts, now in Oklahoma. Good afternoon to you. Congratulations. You have not been on the podium for a while. So it shows your commitment and dedication. Yeah, so we appreciate that. And then a lady who is no stranger to the top 5, Loretta Clark Queely up there in Florida. And then another queen from Craddock Road who is not a stranger, Lydia Paris. And then IDF, Ingrid Daniel Farrell over there in Virginia. The sister of dear leader, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. And then we have up in Canada, the twin of my good friend, Michelle Liebert, is with us, number 5. And then very close behind, Lauret Wharton is in the house. Good afternoon, Lauret. Hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. And we have, who do we have here? Bernadette Tyson. Bernadette is always in the top 10. Gigi Williams-Keat. Is she still here? Have you seen her since?
No, I haven't seen her.
She looks lovely.
That is quite normal.
Okay, good. Drexel Barton, another queen. Good afternoon to Drexel.
Oh, that's a small coat, but
Oral Joseph. Oral Joseph, you see this guy trying to get me in trouble. Oral Joseph, good afternoon to you.
well, you know, there's a big coat and a small coat.
I moved on.
Oh, okay.
I have moved on.
Okay.
We're not going to get Tulu praying for us today.
Well, the prayers are always needed.
Cecile Hobson, good afternoon to you.
That warrior from Cotton Ground.
You know the people well.
Yes.
And my number 1 fan on St. Kitts, I don't care nobody say, Daldria Dow Penny is in the house. And Jetty Taylor, he normally in the first few, but he said his wife had him held back today. So he blames his dear wife. But I met your sister, Margaret Jetty, and lovely lady, not like you. I met Margaret last week, Saturday, having some goat water by Cabos. And so, you know, she says, unfortunately, I'm the sister of Jetty Taylor.
Unfortunately?
Oh, I'm joking. Over there in Budgeon Estate, we have the beautiful Janet Grell Hall. And then we have August Washington, Jessica Lewis Neaty down there in St. Thomas.
She still looks that neat.
She still looks wonderful.
Okay.
And then we have the queen from up there in Rollins, Annette Morton is with us. Muriel Brown is with us. Good afternoon to you, Muriel. And my dear sister-in-law, my favorite sister-in-law in the world, Twilla, the Queen Daly. All right? And we have the best dressed man, by consensus between me and Tulu.
Oh, okay.
Patty Patterson is in the house. Good afternoon, Patterson.
Errol Pemberton
And we have...
Errol Pemberton Galway.
Hey, me ain't having a conversation there. Delicious Brown down there in St. Thomas. Good afternoon to you. Colin, the architect Walters with us. And so is Carl Ambrister.
I think he's somewhere in Texas or somewhere. Somewhere he always traveling somewhere. And then we have Paul Pemberton, my good buddy. How are you? Lynette Farrell up there. You know where Lynette lives? I ain't telling nobody because they might just go beg food. Ruth Lynn Hill is with us in the house. Patrick Hanley. Patrick has been absent from class for some time.
That's the globe.
That's the globe.
He's been globe trotting.
I think he retired from his work recently. So I guess he's been having a grand time, you know. So Patrick, congratulations on your retirement, and hope and wish you all the best. But you have some lines to do because you have cut class quite a bit. All right, Mauricia Saran is with us. Good afternoon, Mauricia. Yet to meet this wonderful woman.
That's not a bad idea that will not make a...
And Lauren Wharton is saying she is enjoying the heat wave in Birmingham, the UK. Wow. Okay. Earl Maskell, good afternoon to you, my brother. And Simaletta Jeffers. This woman here is so dedicated. Every event NRP has, she attends. Even Father's Day, she showed up. If you can't believe that. Simaletta, the chat is your business, girl. Marcy Yelner. Marcy was here in Nevis, you know. I saw a picture. She posted a picture, said she was in Nevis. And she didn't come by the studio to say hi. I feel aggrieved. Waiting too long.
Maybe so good.
Marcy, don't let it happen again, girl. Vine in the Alley, good afternoon to you. And all those others who will join shortly. Welcome to this edition of On Target. We have quite a bit. It's been a very active week. Very active. Everybody and the grandmother has been on Facebook pounding this government for the incompetence, for the condescension. And everybody has been piling on their 2 cents.
So I miss out on a lot.
You miss a lot. You need to be on Facebook more regular. That's where the action is, actually. Dr. Hodge would have put out a post, many posts for the week. Myself, Danny put out, Marvin, Alvan, Kerwin. I mean, everybody has been jamming this week all at once. Rohan, because there's so much to talk about. This country is really heading in the wrong direction. And when I speak about the wrong direction, I'm not only speaking about Nevis, because I'm going to play for you a poll that was conducted in the Federation of Sinkers and Nevis. Don Anderson, a well-known pollster out of Jamaica. And people are going to say, oh, well, he was funded by Timothy Harris, and therefore the results must be skewed toward Dr. Harris. If you want to believe that, fine. But I know of polls that you pay before the poll is conducted. So if you don't want the results released, it's for you not to say. It's for you to say, I don't want it released. But if it's good in your favor, you're going to say release it.
Yes.
And so this is what people need to understand when they come with this thing about, oh, I don't believe it or whatever. It is all skewed, it's all manufactured. Believe what you want. I'm just telling you the science of it is very straightforward. You pay, you want it released, you get it released, you don't want it released, it's yours to hold. All right? That's how they work. So I want to play, it's kind of lengthy, so I might just do part of it, but it's interesting what the polls are showing in the Federation of Sinkers and Nevis. So let us listen to what the results are saying to us here on Sinkers and Nevis.
I have on the line with me renowned pollster Don Anderson. Good evening, Mr. Anderson. How are you doing?
I am fine. Good evening to you and to all your listeners. I'm very happy to be on your program, I think for the first time.
Yes, it is the first time.
My pleasure.
It is an honor to speak to you this evening. Now, we understand that you recently conducted a poll in St. Kitts and Nevis, so we want to get down into it, but before we do that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you have been in this business?
I'm always happy to say so because this year marks the 50th year that my company has been conducting market research in Jamaica and the Caribbean.
And you have conducted polls in St. Kitts and Nevis before, correct?
We have. In terms of political polling, we started political polling in 1988. All right, so we now have 12 plus 24, 36 years experience in political polling specifically. But I just want to make the point that we are a market research company doing work for any industry, for lots of governments, World Bank, central banks, etc., throughout the region. All right, the political polling is a derivative of it and is really the very small portion of the business that we do. So, but I make that point to say that in 50 years of market research, which we have completed or in the process of completing, the market research, the polling that we do is a derivative of market research, and the principles are the same.
Now, for those of us who aren't quite familiar with the polling process, can you give us like a walkthrough of that?
Right. First of all, like a market research study, the veracity and the reliability of the data depends on your ability to select a sample that is representative of the population from which it is chosen. Because you can never do a census of all the population unless it's a very small population, really very small. You can't do a census, so you have to do a sample of the population, and the reliability of the sample is based on how representative, if it is a mirror of the overall population from which it is chosen. Then you can project upwards to the population and be sure that in the context that we work, that the data is 95%, we are 95% sure that the data is within plus or minus 3%, which is what they call the margin of error. You can never do a perfect poll.
How does one go about selecting a sample?
There are various ways you can select a sample, all right? But I'd like to share with you an example that I use because I've taught at the university to postgraduate students in research methods for years, all right? The best way to select a sample or to explain to the layperson, so to speak, how you select a sample is as follows. I use the bowl of soup example, and I get through this very quickly because I know you want to look at the data.
Definitely.
Right. But the bowl of soup example is very important to explain it to the general public. If you have a bowl of soup, let's say vegetable soup in which the ingredients are chopped up fine, you know, tomato, cucumber, chocho, whatever the kinds of vegetables you have in the Caribbean, and you're about to have that soup, nice and warm, and it looks good, etc. Your telephone call comes for you, and you say, oh my, you know, I have to leave the soup now. I haven't started it yet. Let me go and take this call. And you take 15 minutes on the call. When you come back, if you take up a spoonful of that soup, just take it up and have it. You will not get in that spoonful of soup a sample which is representative of the population because it is not stirred.
Okay.
So the ingredients are the people in the population.
Yes.
But if you stir that soup and take up a spoonful, I can guarantee you, you'll have a good representation of how the soup tastes.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe a sample. And then from there, you project upwards. If you drink half the soup, you're not increasing your reliability any. One spoonful will tell you exactly how the rest of the soup tastes.
Okay, so let's narrow it down to St. Kitts and Nevis. We are speaking about the sample. What was the sample size that was selected?
730 persons were interviewed across all 11 constituencies.
Okay, so that was the sample. But what were the key areas of focus for you in this poll?
We wanted to know, and I'll give it as a synopsis of it. We wanted to know what was the national mood at this point in time. Do people feel the country is going in the right direction or the wrong direction? In every political poll we do across the region, we ask this question because we want to know how do people feel about the direction in which the country is going, because that gives you an idea of how they're responding to the government and what they think should be done. All right? So we pitched it to them, and as a research company of our long-standing reputation, there's no question that we ask that is leading. So we objectively present questions to persons and we record the answers that they give to us. We have enough experience not to lead anybody in a particular response. So the national mood, and I'm going to start to give you some data now. Half of the people that we interviewed, 50%, say the country is heading in the wrong direction. This is not an abnormal finding across any country that we do it, because you never have a situation where the majority of people in the country vote for the government in office. Just a logical deduction, all right? So you'll find 50% believe the country is heading in the wrong direction, all right? And the main reasons they gave was the high cost of living, the majority of persons, and 40% said poor leadership. So we asked the persons, they told us what percentage believe the country is going in the wrong direction. We then asked them, why do you say it's going in the wrong direction? 51% blamed it on the cost of living, it's too high, and 40% spontaneously, without any prompting, said 40% said it's because of poor leadership. So you can get an idea of how the rest of the data might look from that one question. All right?
Okay. So that was just one question, the national mood. What
Yes.
else were you looking at?
how people felt about their own situation and how they felt about the country. So following on that, we said 61% believe the country has deteriorated, has gotten worse over the last 3 years. And when we asked them, who do you think is
61%.
responsible? 61% said the country has deteriorated. The economy has gotten worse over the last 2 to 3 years. 83% of them blame the government spontaneously for this problem. So we said, how do you feel about the economy over the last 2 to 3 years? And 61% said it has gotten worse. And when we asked them, who or what do you blame for this deterioration? 83% spontaneously said the government. So when we look at it, we asked the people how they felt about the performance of the government, for example, and the leadership, because this is again is something that we need to do, and we do in every study. What do you feel about the performance of the government then? All right, 84% of persons that we interviewed rated the government performance between average and poor.
Okay.
41. I'll break that down for you. 41% said average. 23% said poor, and 20% said very poor. Spontaneous. We said we use a 5-point scale, using a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is very good and 5 is very bad or something like that. We flipped it, where 5 said it's very good and 1 is very poor. We found that the majority felt that the government was not performing very well. And then we drew that down to, pardon the pun, we then said, okay, how do you feel about the Prime Minister and his role and his how do you rate him? 17% viewed the PM positively. Of this, some people said, well, very good, etc. And they cited what they call is caring personality and the people-centered programs as being the positives that they associated with him. So we then looked at something like, how do you feel about the various leaders and who you think is probably the person that would be best at this point in time to run the country? Spontaneously again, we never asked people, how do you feel about Dr. Harris? How do you feel about Dr. Drew? How do you feel about the leaders in any of the other parties? We got to answer, who do you feel is the person best suited to run the country? And Dr. Harris got the highest rating in this particular score. Dr. Timothy Harris got the highest rating, while Dr. Drew was about 19 percentage points behind Dr. Harris. I should mention that each of these questions that we did was analyzed by the 11 constituencies. So even though I've given you the totals here, somebody who would love to look at the data in greater detail, we do have constituency by constituency perspectives on each of these issues.
So on a constituency basis, were the findings consistent with, or were they higher or lower in some cases?
Well, when you have readings that are above 50% and above 60%, and you break that down, it depends on how many variables you break it down by. In this case, we're breaking that down by 11, right? You will find that the tendency is towards the overall norm. In other words, if the norm is about 60%, then when you look across constituencies, you don't expect much variation because the number is almost up to 100. If you have the percentage up to 80%, you can be absolutely sure that there's no constituency that would deviate much from that.
Okay.
Again, pretty obvious reasons, all right? So in this case, most of the data we're looking at here is round about 60% and more, and you find that the constituency breakout tends to be very much in line with the norm, the overall total that I was giving you just now.
Okay, so we are in 2025. We're just shy of 3 years since the last general elections, which saw the election of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party to office. Are these results indicative of what may happen in an upcoming general elections, bearing in mind that we are 2 years out until that election is due?
If this particular trend continues, notice I said if it continues,
Yes.
then I think whoever forms an opposition group would be likely to overtake the government in terms of favorability rating and voter intent.
Okay.
So one of the questions we asked was, his situation seems to be bad, the cost of living is high, there are a number of other problems that you face. Regardless of the problem, what do you think is the solution to the problem? Again, a totally open-ended question. And I make the point because we ask the question and we allowed persons to respond as they saw fit. And 45% of the persons believe that a change of government would be a step in the right direction.
So, I've got to ask, what were the feelings of the general population as it relates to when a general election should be called?
Again, a very important and very interesting question, because if you follow that answer a while ago, you would expect that people would say, you know what, I think we should have an election as soon as possible. Okay? That is basically what it is saying. And there is a question that was asked of the general public, all 730 persons. How do you think? What do you feel about the current situation? In your view, basically, should there be an election, or should, term be satisfied and term be, completed? And more persons felt that what was important right now was to call the election as soon as possible. They could make a determination as to who should run the country after that.
Based on the information that you have found in your recent poll, would it be wise for the sitting administration, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, to call a general election at this point?
Well, it depends on whether or not you think that the situation can improve. If you think you can do something about the situation in the short run, then surely. But clearly, based on the trend that we see, and the trend is the greater predictor of the outcome. So if you see a trend picking up, we haven't that long trend yet. This is one study which is a snapshot at a point in time. But the sort of strength of the numbers that are coming back here suggests that it may be difficult to turn around the situation in the short run, all right? And therefore, maybe based on this one piece of the strength of the numbers, because we still don't have a long time series, that it might be wise, it might not be the wisest thing to... One would need to take a good look at the situation before you make a decision as to when the election is called. But the nation is calling for an early election.
Now, Mr. Anderson, to be frank, the problems that have been mentioned, the challenges that have been mentioned are not unique to St. Kitts and Nevis. We are living in difficult times.
No, I'm doing a lot of work in Jamaica where we're 2 months away from an election.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that kind of led into my question.
Yes.
Because I know that you've done work throughout the region.
Yes.
So how do these results compare with other Caribbean nations? You don't have to tell us which nations.
No.
But is it the trend that you're seeing in the region at this time?
Not to the extent. In other words, when we look at, I can give you Jamaica because that is public knowledge, all right? Where we are right now is that the opposition in Jamaica has narrow lead over the ruling party, the JLP. But that trend has been, in a way, lowering over the last 9 months, from a sizable lead of about 9 percentage points down to 3. So here it is a difficult decision to make up to when to call the election. It is due in another 3 months, but they have, of course, the opportunity by constitution to extend that for 3 months beyond that, all right? So in Jamaica, the situation is a lot more difficult than it is in St. Kitts. In St. Kitts, based on the data here, one could see the pattern, not the trend necessarily, just the pattern of the data. And it would suggest that, the ruling party could be in some difficulty. We also looked at the favorability rating for the political parties. Again, we did that by constituencies. And we found that the PLP is the best favored of the parties right now, followed by, of course, the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party. All right, it's the best favored of the parties right now. And again, that varies by constituency, because when you look at constituency number 6 and number 7, for example, there's stark differences.
We know the answers.
Sorry?
We know the answers.
You know the answers, all right? And that is borne out in terms of the survey data.
Yes.
Definitely borne out in terms of the survey data. Now, favorability does not automatically translate into voter intent. I could like somebody or like a party, but may not be inclined to vote for them for various reasons, all right? But generally, favorability tends more towards the same kind of voting intent. In other words, a higher favorability, especially if it is a double-digit gap over the next in line, tends to support the view that more than likely people would vote for the party that has a higher favorability rating. Okay. If the favorability rating is narrow, you can't quite say so with a greater degree of certainty, because that could be flipped if it's 4 percentage points or so on. But here we're talking about 14 percentage points different, and it is unlikely that you could have such a high favorability difference and not a vote intent in the same direction, if not the same strength.
So what about, let's say, constituency 8?
Even white.
Okay, we're going to stop it there. The rest is just basically the same thing. He was not specifically asked, but I'm certain I will try to get the data. He said it's available for Nevis 8, 9, 10, 11. But the trend is basically the same, that persons are voting based on their analysis of how they fit into this economy. Things are bad, and people are clearly blaming the government. People are finally making the connection between their state of being and who is in control of the country. People are finally listening to their own issues, and if this trend continues as the Mr. Anderson's polling indicate, this government here that is sitting on top of Nevis like a dead weight will have to be removed. And so the data is showing people want to change, and the issues for them are personal. The issues are the fact that that dollar is not stretching anymore. Businesses, individuals, households, families can't catch a break. They can't seem to catch up. One bill after the next, you fall behind 1 month, you're sunk. You can't catch up. You have to enter all sorts of payment plans with Nevlec and water department, with your suppliers, with your renters, your mortgage companies. It is one blow after the next. And a lot of families on Nevis are stretched to breaking point. There is no liquidity left. There's nothing left. And so what people are expressing in these polls is their frustration that they're becoming poorer. And we have heard callers calling here. I have made it the same claim. The middle class has been hollowed out. There's now a larger group of poor people in this country than ever in our history. Modern history, that is. People simply cannot make it. When I speak to business owners in Charlestown, they tell you the same thing. We can't catch up. We got bills to pay and we can't catch up. Business is slow, like molasses in a cold day. Charlestown is empty once the workers from the public service goes home at 4. That's it. Charlestown is locked down. Restaurants are closing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because there's nothing to sell after 2 o'clock. It is difficult. And when we keep telling people these bills that come due are not green and they're not blue, they're written on white paper, or they come from a phone call from your bankers and your lenders. Come on, pay something. You understand? This is what people sit around their dinner table and talk about. Things are tough. Oh, people say, oh, well, look, all the people went Mango Fest. Oh, all the people went Carnival and Music Fest. You know how they get the money? You know about their business? I can tell you from my own personal experiences, the amount of phone calls I get. The single mothers, you're not going to see them at Mango Fest to pay $150 to go in the gate.
Can't afford it.
You can't afford it. You ain't going to see them going to Music Fest unless they got a free ticket. This is the fact of the matter. All right? People are indeed struggling financially to make ends. And so when this government talking about building Nevis brick by brick, we are tearing down Nevis brick by brick. People are genuinely struggling in this country. And no matter what the government say is going to do, they have not been able to do it since 2013. We have lost ground since 2013. We have become poorer and more dependent. And that is exactly what they want to have happen. We become poorer, more dependent. They come around during election time, throw some money in your hand, and you vote for them. But this poll is now showing people are just fed up. They can't take anymore. They want a change. They want a change. These are the facts. All other issues, we talk about geothermal, we talk about healthcare, we talk about, all other things. But you see that bread and butter issue? You see that personal touch where people are struggling? That is where the tire hits the road. Because when those bills come and your children want shoes and school uniform and they want their hair done, you ain't got no money. Because everything is eaten up. Inflation. You go to the groceries, 1 week, price is $10, next week is $15, the week after that's $20. But your paycheck is still the same. These are this is the reality. This is no joke. This is the reality. And finally, people are now making the connection between their reality and the reality of this government here that has done nothing to grow this economy. The Premier was bragging about people having 23 jobs. Who the hell wants to work 20 jobs? Leaving from work, a government office at 4 o'clock, go down to the beach, work from 5 to midnight, and then go and do a security job from midnight to morning? Who wants that? Who wants that? And so the Premier and his colleagues, I mean, they're not hurting. They are not hurting. You remember last year they gave themselves a fat increase? Big money. Right? They're well taken care of. Well taken care of. Any one of them can retire tomorrow and get 75% of their pension coming to them. You understand? There is no them without us. But we always have been sacrificing us for them. Understand that. We have been bending over backwards to make sure they get the job, they get the high pay, they get the pension. They can go to the grocery stores, pay their mortgages, pay their rent, pay their car note, no problem.
You know,
but we hear, finally people are getting it. Go ahead.
You know, Kel, I think there is this misunderstanding, and it's so easy for politicians to say, oh, see, there is Mr. Eugene Tulowitz, he's doing 3 jobs. The reason he's doing 2 jobs is that the one hand cannot clap. It is only slapping. And so this idea that because you see somebody, as you say, hustling from one job, 8 to 4, maybe in government, and then getting a little piece by the restaurant. But then, Kel, the larger question you spoke to earlier, if it is that the restaurants and all these other private entities are struggling, then they are going to be unable to offer people extra. You only get extra job when you have business, that's all.
Of course.
So if there is no business from the private people, then people then would have to contend with the one job, which makes it even more difficult to survive. And the problem, I always remember Professor George Beckford saying, the problem we have with the poverty is not that it exists, it persists. It persists. And here you have a government in Nevis which is unresponsive.
Tulu.
I'm happy, Dr. Lilly, that you alluded to the fact that the ministers of government has made sure that they took care of themselves, that they're taking care of themselves. They gave themselves a hefty increase. And in the case of Nevis, we must understand that the Premier and his other 2 colleagues who are representatives in St. Kitts, Alexis Jeffers and Eric Evelyn, they got a hefty increase in St. Kitts. They came to Nevis and they gave themselves also a hefty increase. And then you must understand that the Premier is getting 2 salaries other than that increase that they gave themselves. Alexis Jeffers is getting 2 hefty salaries. And Eric Evelyn is getting 2 hefty salaries. While at the same time, the people in St. Kitts and Nevis, the majority of us, are struggling to make an end. You look at the members of the Nevis Island administration, barring the Premier, all of them came into government just like me.
Barefoot Bob?
Barefoot.
He too.
Can't parent. Well, when he came into government, he came in under Simeon Daniel, he came in set up. But you look at the others, they came in, had basically nothing. And 3 of them are already at this time millionaires and multimillionaires. Okay? In 10 years of government or 5-7 years of government, they are mighty millionaires. But we, the poor people who elected them, has not moved an inch. The premier will argue that they gave a 10% increase. Yes, you gave a 10% increase. 10% increase on $1,000 is something like that, Dr. Daly. $10 a month? $10 a month, right?
Who?
10% increase on your salary.
Yeah.
$10 a month, they gave the increase. But then they gave themselves $10,000 a month. So how they move you? So they have taken care of themselves and are riding on the backs of the people of Nevis. And I'm happy that the people has risen up and are saying that this government is a failure. The another issue that I have with Dr. Jew as a prime minister, coming into the last election, the most vexing issue for Dr. Jew was the corruption that existed in the electoral office. 3 years has passed, and Dr. Jew has done absolutely nothing to correct the corruption that he declared was in the electoral office, that he marched and protested against and argued against, and he has done nothing. As far as I'm concerned, he should go. Secondly, third thing I'm going to say, he is my prime minister for 3 years, and Dr. Joe has not seen it fit to come to Nevis and to have an audience with the people of Nevis, even though he has a federal office in Nevis where he is the head of, but he hasn't come to meet with us. I think it is time come. It's a wake-up call, and if he has to go,
well, the people of St. Kitts, the people of St. Kitts will determine whether he stays or goes. My conclusion about this is very simple, and we've been saying it for a while. Something have to give. If we continue on this trajectory, given after all that the government has done $500 million with loans, $500 million in loans, and we still can't make ends. It means you're not managing the resources properly. It's not the lack of resources, it's the management of the resource. You wasted it. All right? But we can sit here and pontificate about the problem. What is the solution?
Get rid of the government, especially
because that goes without saying. But even if a new government comes in,
how do you move
forward? How do you move forward? And I believe one of the easiest way to do it, both on St. Kitts and Nevis, is to do a reset. Do a reset.
Of course.
Persons who can prove, especially the business persons and households and even individuals. Listen, you set up a special program to help people get ahead if they're behind their mortgage by 2 or 3 months, if they're behind their rent, if they're behind on what are utilities. We need a reset. We need a reset in this country. If we are saying we're making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, how much will a reset cost?
And also, part of that reset has to do with 60% of the country's people are under 35 years and so on. Part of that reset has to deal with creating some real opportunities for young people in education, science, technology, business, agriculture.
I understand all that. But for those persons who have existing problems right now.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
I mean, the Prime Minister, I think, in December, with his reset, a kind of mini reset, $250 a month for households under 5,000. Mini reset. The problem is much more severe than that. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not knocking it to 50. A lot of people found it useful. Mm-hmm. But on a scale that could make a great impact, to put money back into the economy, how much are you willing to spend for a reset? I get calls all the time. Can you help with this? Can you help with that? I'm not a rich man. I got my own responsibilities as a father. All right? And I wish I could do more. And I hate to see people being stressed out by calls from lenders and creditors and all this. I hate it. Mm-hmm. I tells you, we are broken as a country. How do you fix that break? How do you manage that break? We are harvesting our CBI, and then now people are going to put us, oh, CBI, it can't do everything. Hey, you got to start somewhere. And I believe, just like during COVID time, when persons are unemployed, you had a special fund from Social Security. Let us do a reset for people who are underwater with their mortgages. I'm not talking about 6 months and all that. People who are just, give them a break from month to month. You know what I'm saying? Let them catch up 1 month. At least let them catch up 1 month.
But you have some information you could work with. You have the household budgetary survey, which can tell you where people are.
Yeah.
And people are struggling. So you just use that. The problem, Kelly, is that some here on Nevis and so on, it's a larger question. Now, if you do a reset and you liberate people, as it were, from the stresses and strains of all these financial situations, then you are developing a certain level of independence. And if you train them and you upskill the society and you invest in agriculture and so on, and all the different things which we speak about, it means, therefore, that you will be eliminating your base. You made a point in the beginning that you, at election time, they have you here struggling, and election time you just say, boy, over the years, man don't see a 500 or 1,000, and you take it and you vote. So, in the end, you have to be eliminating the base from which you're going to get votes. And that is what is at the trouble here in Nevis. You want to keep people dependent.
What I find progressive or counterintuitive, this data, this polling came out, when I heard it for the first time yesterday, and I found it fascinating. And so I shared it with some friends of mine. And we had some discussions on it. And in part of the discussions, I asked a question. If Dr. Drew knew about this polling before he decided to reimpose the VAT, would he have done it? Would he have decided not to continue with the $250 a month? Because this is clearly showing a kind of disconnect between the policymakers, the government, and the people. Because clearly this data is showing people are struggling, they're blaming the government, but yet the government comes, reimposes VAT, and takes away the $250, a little bit allowance from people. I'm wondering whether he would have continued, and that is why it's important to have the kind of market research to see where the country is. It might not favor you, but it gives you a light to where you need to go. And so this, if I was Dr. Drew, I'd have been combing through this data here. How can I close that 14-point gap between PLP and myself and SKNLP? How can I move the country in a direction that people no longer feel threatened financially? That is what this thing is telling us to do.
Well, there is time.
Yeah, 2 years.
There's time.
As you said in Jamaica, GLP is now closing the gap.
Yeah, there were 10 points.
There were 10 points and all that. So
a year ago.
This is a wake-up call. On Nevis, however.
Not in Nevis.
I don't think this will happen because I believe we are worse off.
We are.
We are worse off. And we have a government that's showed that they do not understand, they do not care, they are shameless in their abuse of the people of Nevis. And so I don't see how they will turn this around.
Because the poll said that the people thought that Dr. Drew had a caring approach. But in Nevis, do you think...
There's no such caring in Nevis.
Okay, all right.
No such caring in Nevis.
I think...
And also, many of the programs that are helping Nevis, Kel,
are federal programs.
Were federal programs. So we are yet to see. You remember during the COVID when we went up by Value Mart and elsewhere to fill out farms, just barely to help people to get money from Social Security. The government of up to, I am just stunned that for the whole of COVID, nobody in Nevis was able to see a government program which says, okay, I'm the Premier of Nevis, COVID is happening, here is my thing. Everything came from St. Kitts. And so that underscores the point that you have, on one hand, you have somebody in St. Kitts who is concerned about people, but here,
here.
My criticism of Dr. Drew is legendary from the beginning. And one of the things I criticized him about was, and in his attempt to streamline government, this good governance agenda, he really ripped the guts out of a lot of the social safety net programs. He withdrew from the economy by scaling down on the PAP, on the STEP, and everything else, pay for peace, at least $30 million from that, from the program. Those monies there were spent in poor communities, poor neighborhoods, by poor people. You don't withdraw that class of money from communities and expect anything but what this polling is showing. It's not going to happen. And so I understand his good governance agenda. I understand there was need for streamlining programs, but this drastic cut did not serve him well as a politician. All right? We got to move on. We got to move on. We got to move on.
Just before you go to Dr. Daly, because people need to understand, when it comes to the hardship on the island of Nevis, the Premier recently indicated to Nevis and the people of Nevis where his mindset is. When he was asked the question about St. James, what the government is doing to help the people of St. James because things are hard, his response was clear and should be clear to everybody that the Premier only consider you to be marginally important if he's benefiting off of you. He's riding on your backs. And so because the people of St. James chose a representative that they know will better serve their interests, here the Premier is saying that you did not choose to have somebody in the government, so basically you are left out in the cold.
Yeah.
Man, he's supposed to be the Premier of all the people of Nevis.
But that surprised you?
He did it to the people of St. Thomas's. Now he's doing it to the people of things. So he is saying straight up, I am not interested in the people of Nevis as long as I cannot ride on their backs. If I cannot ride on your back, I'll put you out in the pasture and leave you there to die.
Okay. Moving on, and before we go deeper into the politics, I forgot to give you some announcements. One, the St. James constituency group will have a fish fry.
Of the NRP?
Yes. What do you think I meant?
No. I know they have lots of different groups over there.
Why would I be advertising lots of different groups? You just like to interrupt me. The St. James NRP constituency group will be having a fish fry this coming Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. right by Cocky's Bar. They are at, they call it the bottom of Charles Road, Newcastle. In Newcastle. I get to know now. I can't remember castle from castle. So let me read it again. The St. James NRP constituency group will be having a fish fry Thursday the 17th. That's next week Thursday at Cocky Shop, 4 to 8 p.m. All the fish you can eat once you pay for them. All right? And then on the 26th of July, the NRP St. Paul's constituency group will be having another breakfast. And that will be at Boko Park, the same time, the same place, same time. I made an appeal last time we had a breakfast, which is the end of last month. And a few people, gave me a couple dollars. Be assured that money goes into the national executive. And so we need all the support we can get. If you want to donate some dollars, $20 for a breakfast on behalf of somebody, we'll be glad to take it. If you want to donate something that we can buy our groceries or supplies for the breakfast, we'll be glad to have it. So whatever you can give, we'll be greatly appreciated. Let's take this call. Oh, we lost the call. All right. Those are the two announcements. I was going to give you a health tip, but I was so excited to get the program started. I'm going to save it till next week. All right? So we can't go back to that.
Okay. When does in St. Paul's having something about 50,000? They started already?
Yes. We have a raffle that will be drawn on August 3rd. You pay $50, you can win up to $10,000.
So where do you buy tickets?
You can buy tickets from any member of the executive of our St. Paul's, including myself.
Okay.
And it's only $50 a ticket. So you can buy 10 tickets, right?
About that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, without a ticket, you don't have a chance.
Good afternoon, you're on target.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm fine. I'm just listening to what the premise about St. James and having a member in government.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually agree with Premier, you know, because as far as I can see, that he's saying to the people of St. James, you all have to talk to your friends and your family in all the other constituencies. So that we change the government, and then St. James will have a member of parliament in government.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, he's telling the people of St. James to become politically active in the other constituencies so they can ensure that they represent its premier.
You got a point there.
I mean, it's good advice from the premier.
I'm certain other people won't read it that way, but good advice nonetheless. But I just find it disconcerting. I find it very disconcerting and very condescending for him to say, if you people in St. James and St. Thomas want representation, elect CCM to the cabinet. I just find that
I look at it the other way.
Mm.
If you want representation in government, and not just representation, but the premier of youths in government, make sure you're not to get it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. All right. His caller always has something. The next up, we're looking briefly at the Fair Share report. The premier would have been questioned on Wednesday's show, and so we're going to play that for you. I know we played it on Thursday night, and it's all over the internet, but I think a deeper dive in it will be interesting. So I'm going to play that now, and then we can have a discussion about it.
Some months ago, we were told that the report from the World Bank for the fair share has come to the Federation. You, in your own words, have said you have received the report, and you and your cabinet is going to look into it. That was some weeks ago. So here me ask you tonight, have you and your cabinet looked into the report as yet? And if not, why?
Caller, thank you for your call. The cabinet is still considering it. In fact, I will tell you that today at cabinet, we usually meet on a Wednesday, and that was an agenda item to be discussed today. Unfortunately, we had something that intervened, that interrupted us from doing that today. But that will be on the agenda for us to discuss at the next cabinet meeting. And so, absolutely, we are looking at it, and it's a matter that will receive our fullest attention.
So can you commit yourself to us that we will hear about the report before the month end?
I can't commit that you'll hear about it before the month end, but I can commit that you will hear about it. As I outlined repeatedly, that the effort that we're making in relation to that report, the Prime Minister shared the report with us. We will review it. The Prime Minister's technical team, he says, is also reviewing it. And then we hope that the NIA as cabinet can meet with the federal counterparts to come to some decision in relation to that matter. So there is still some discussion to happen on it, but I can assure you and the people of Nevis that this is a matter that is receiving careful consideration, because there are long-term implications for doing this and doing it correctly. And so that is where we are currently. As I said, today we were supposed to consider it. It regrettably could not happen, but it will happen, God willing, in the very near future. We would hope to have it on the agenda as the first item for next Wednesday's cabinet meeting. So you certainly will hear something, caller. I can't tell you that you'll hear it before the end of the month. If we can get it done by then absolutely. But you will definitely hear once we've deliberated and come to a position.
All right. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Good afternoon, Tom.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to ask a question, please.
Go ahead.
Traveling to from Navy, outer Navy, then to the road. They have a tax $20 certified. They have to pay my rent bill. I have to pay $20 to start that. And then the lady tell me, go over here. I have to sign a 20. So after $1 about it, I'm asked to pay me. Anyone I could think what you're about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, there is an.
Hold on, please. Hold on. Go ahead, Danny.
Yes, scholar. There is a view. If you are going to take your vehicle to St. Kitts on one of the ferries, whether I Connect or Sea Hustler, that you're being charged $20 just to be able, just to use the pier to drive on the vehicle.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So I go there often to pick up my wife, and they would ask me if I'm going on the boat, because you're supposed to pay $20.
Wow.
To drive on the pier to get onto the I Connect.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
But that has not been instituted the way you normally institute fees.
I think the caller is talking about at the airport.
I'm talking about 20 years. It's about 2 years ago. I want to know because if it on is not clear. The ticket them already high, and then you put that extra $20. I want to know if that's the criminal tax. So the lady came to ask them, so I want any part of point about it.
We'll find out by next week.
Yes, because about 2 years I've started on the
Okay then.
All right. Okay.
All right. So we were talking about the fair share. We got a phone call, and the Premier is saying that they had it on the agenda, but for some reason they were interrupted and they had to be put on the back burner, and hopefully next week, Wednesday. Now, Danny, you are Deputy Premier of this country, a Minister of Health and Social Welfare and all these wonderful things. And you are adverse in how cabinet is set up. Mm-hmm. Is cabinet stuck on 1 day a week?
No.
Or is it as need be?
No, when you have pressing matters, you have you call around the cabinet members. That's one. But on a critical matter like this, we are accustomed to meet at 11 o'clock in the night when we had the situation with the Four Seasons, when the owners were deciding they're going to walk away, change the name. We convene a cabinet meeting around 11 o'clock tonight.
So critical matters.
People
are interested in coming to the meeting.
Of course. And the Premier would say, fellas, let's have a meeting. Sometimes you have a cabinet meeting one day, and the Premier would say, hey, fellas, we need to deal with this matter here, another matter coming up. So because cabinet is what the executive is what make the decisions to drive the country. So this idea that you have a report in your hand since March, it is?
The Federation got the report on March 6th.
And he
got it 4 months ago.
Yeah.
He got it 2 weeks after that.
Right. So call it April. You have April, May, June. 3 months. A critical matter like this to determine how Nevis shares its resources with St. Kitts. This matter should have been addressed a long time ago, but it speaks to the level of importance you attach to it, because now it doesn't drive any political thing.
Here's my take on this, and I think we had a discussion on Thursday evening, and I'm convinced, beyond convincing, that whatever is whatever is in the document doesn't favor Nevis.
All right.
But if it doesn't favor Nevis, what do? You stick your head in the sand?
Exactly.
Or you come out and say, listen, all right, we are going to remove ourselves from this,
yes,
and go through the Constitution. The Constitution provides for arbitrage. If you're unhappy with something, the Constitution gives you
Section 110
gives you the opportunity to have arbitrage, to have discussions, legal discussions, and come to a resolution.
Oh, and also in a mature way, you say to the Prime Minister, PM, I noticed X, Y, and Z, but you know how it go. So. I mean, in politics, there's a lot of balancing. Okay? You don't have to make this thing no source for contention. You say, look, I didn't realize we were so far behind in X and Y.
I think the problem was when Dr. Drew crafted the letter to World Bank, Brantley had no say in the parameters, no say in the terms of reference, and therefore he had what came back with what Dr. Drew wanted, which is control of the resource. Now, I think Dr. Drew is a bit embarrassed by the fact that he would have gotten more than he anticipated. I think Mark Brantley is embarrassed, but he got less than he anticipated. So both of them are holding back from coming to the public with this document. This is a very critical document which needs to be publicly ventilated at every level, at every stage. Because once there's an agreement, and this is codified in our Constitution, that's it. Wherever the buck stops, it stops. And I'm saying the mature thing to do, rather than sit and stick your head in the sand, have open discussions on the matter. Saying that you had no time in cabinet, month after month after month, when year after year and after year before then,
2015,
you were talking about this fair share, that the NRP doesn't want fair share, that you want fair share. Send us to St. Kitts to Church Street to get fair share for Nevis. And then you are sent in abundance, 3 seats. You were part of a government for 7 years.
7 years.
On the Team Unity. You could have gotten virtually anything you wanted.
You could have gotten all this year.
All right? And now the document is with you, 3 months. And you are saying, we have no time.
Or
we have no time to deal with it.
But what is bad here, Kelly, is that the Premier is saying, we hope to meet. When you're the Premier, you don't hope to things. You set out. Okay, if we were doing this, suppose we were in the government and this came back here. The first thing we do, you call in a group of financial and economic analysis and so on. Do a financial and economic analysis and say, look, fellas, this is the case. Give us some options in terms of how we could negotiate. Then we go to the Prime Minister and say, look, PM, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. I think we make a lot of unnecessary, what do you call that? Trouble. Trouble is the wrong word. But give the impression that things are so hard to resolve between St. Kitts and Nevis. We used to sit down with Dr. Douglas and his team to work out things with geothermal, to work out the tax, what do you call that thing, the VAT and so on. And we had the CARTAC people lead the effort and so on. Maybe, Kel, this is not a case for the politicians, you know? Maybe this is a case for the people who are concerned more about the economic viability of St. Kitts and Nevis. And if they come up with something, then you could negotiate it politically, because remember, the politics and the economics got to run together.
Good afternoon, you're on target.
Good afternoon, Dr. Daly.
Good afternoon.
Zulu and Nancy.
Hey.
I think you're being a little unfair.
Huh?
I think you're being a little unfair on the Premier. Because he was in the federal cabinet with a big minister for 7 years and didn't do anything about fair people. And 3 months saying nothing. He had 7 years. He had 7 years before. What is 3 months?
You hear this scholar? What this scholar is saying?
Wait, sir.
This scholar is saying that we are being unreasonable to the Premier, because if he was in there for 7 years and he do nothing, what is 3 months?
That's true. You got a point. You got a point.
A huge point. A huge point.
Thank you, caller.
We are discussing this thing from the viewpoint that the Premier really cared about fair share.
We are something.
So we are making out that assumption based on that. The truth is, the Premier cared nothing about this fair share. It was a political ploy, and it has already accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. Rile up the people of Nevis against St. Kitts and fair share. Vote me into office. I am into office, so I am going to be dragging my feet. When this will come again, a big talking point for him is when another election cycle, he's going to come back and try to use the same thing to fool the people. And the point must be made, and I think we have made it, and it's important that we repeat certain things, because I think what Marcus Garvey says, people who do not know their history are like trees without roots, which means they are standing, but they're dead. And so we must get the history. That the Premier crafted based on him a sharing mechanism to go into a government called Team Unity. When he got into government, correct, for 7 years, The former Prime Minister Harris said that Mark Brantley never one time said anything in cabinet or parliament about fair share for navies. He spoke about something for Spencer and something to do with Daniel Brantley and Associates. Nothing to do with fair share entered the cabinet that Mark Brantley was in for 7 years in relation to fair share for navies, but for Spencer Brand and for something with Daniel Brantley.
So the caller is right then.
Well, let me say this. This fair share document, you can only come to one conclusion: why it's being hidden, why it's not being discussed. And it has to be, whatever is contained is not favorable. You're already in the pits with the people concerning the state of the economy, the taxes and everything like that. Now you drop this on them and say, boy, we might be getting less money than we anticipated.
Tell people the truth.
But boy,
we have to face the realities of life.
Mark Brantley the truth?
Well, even for one time in his life.
Really?
Mandela said, right?
Yeah.
In every individual, no matter how debased and nasty and worthless they are, there is a core of decency. And if you could only touch that core, they will change.
Really?
But that core deep down, everybody got it.
No.
I mean, you said the premier has knocked that. It was a decent.
Let me say this.
Sell him a bridge.
I have never come across a man who is this shameless.
That is true.
When people tell you shamebox mashup, take a picture of Mark Brantley and stick it on your window or on your mirror and say, I would never be like this.
No, shamebox mashup, he never had a shamebox.
No, he had.
He had a shamebox.
He was born innocent. He had a shamebox. But I have never come across a man, and I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine, and we were trying to figure out this man, this enigma called Mark Brantley. And we all came to the same conclusion at the same time. You can't shame a shameless man.
That's a note statue.
You cannot shame a shameless person.
No. It's impossible.
It doesn't faze them. A normal human being, having faced the avalanche of criticisms of how he is conducting himself as the premier and how his government is running the country, would have walked away. I can't do it anymore. I've done enough. I can't get it right. A decent person with a shame box would have said, boy, no. I can't continue. I love Nevis too much. But when you're devoid of shame, nothing shames you. Nothing shames you because you're not bothered by anything anymore. You want what you want. You have gotten rich. You have got all the power and glory. Nothing bothers you. Nothing bothers Brantley at all, you know?
So you're saying that
he's totally devoid of shame.
The premier is so dead that he's like a statue. You know, they got them nude statues all over the place.
That's what he is.
Like just a nude statue.
But you realize them nude statues got little peepees?
They got a little bit of everything. They got a little bit of whatever.
Moving on. I just want to say.
You have the Handley's Road.
I just want to say too, this document from the World Bank, by any stretch of imagination, it's not a binding document, eh?
It's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation.
Yes.
It's not binding. All right? The only way this can be binding if some kind of scenario is adopted and passed into the law, become part of the Constitution. So that is to be said.
But that could have happened since I think it was 2012, you know.
It didn't happen.
When Douglas wanted to go into Parliament and said, because Mark and Vance was making it, especially Mark, for sharing. And I remember Douglas said to them in the Parliament, let us take this thing to the Parliament, to the people, and settle it once and for all on how we are going to share between St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay.
And Mark Brantley got up and told him, you're fast, stay out of Nevis people business.
Moving on.
We're still in the same place.
We're moving on. We don't normally play clips by Zook, but it's instructive to listen to something he has to say regarding the airport. All right, I'm going to play two clips. The first one, this? You get two of them. Oh, this is the right one. Town hall first. No. This and that first. This one first.
By the start of 2025, we're now hearing the question being asked, when will the project start? And that is a good question. And it will start this year, but I'll leave that for the Premier and the Cabinet to decide the exact date and time. What I will say to you this evening, though, is that we've made significant progress in terms of land issues, financing, the design, and so forth. All of those pieces are coming together at this point in time. I want to say to you as well that nothing happens before its time, because I just spoke about COVID-19. We lost perhaps 2 years on this project, and we're making up time as we go, and we're doing an excellent job in that regard. I will say that one of the major challenges that we had initially was the negotiations with one of the major landowners who we would have written to since 2020. And of course, we came to a decision earlier this year to do what we're about to do in terms of paying that landowner and then moving on to the others. So last week, I believe the Premier would have gave an update as to when the Cabinet will be moving forward with those payments. And it sounds like it's very soon. I can leave it as that because the Premier may speak about that later.
All right. Second one. This is one on his show in February.
So I suppose if you were to ask me, when do I anticipate? This quarter.
This quarter.
This quarter we anticipate that we'll move forward with our groundbreaking ceremony and get work started over there at the Van Summer International Airport. Because I want to remind you and remind the general public that we are seeking to undertake this project and have it completed by December of 2026. Okay. For that festive period, we would want to have, at least, the facilities open, ready to receive the world. Okay. And that is the plans that we have.
All right. So in February, he assured the country as the lead man on the Vance Emery International Airport redevelopment project, as the lead man to administer a $130 million budget. He informed that the project will break ground in March, but the first quarter, which is end of March. March rolled around. Then the Premier stepped up and said, no, it's going to be June, end of June by the latest. At this most recent town hall, you heard him scramble to say he's waiting for the Premier to have a cabinet discussion as to the funding. It's like two blind mice. He is supposed to be coming to the public. He is the point person. He should be the one leading this discussion. But he punted to the Premier. And so the Premier was forced to put a date as to when the funds from National Bank will be released, which was by the close of business on Friday. No funds have been released.
How do you know?
No funds have been released. By the close of business on Friday, no funds were released on National Bank. So where do we go from here? Another promise? Another week? When people keep giving you false information, keep breaking promises, it's abuse. It's been an abusive relationship. All right? And the Premier has been abusing our sensibilities for a long time. Broken promise after broken promise. Broken deal after broken deal. Excuse after excuse. Abusing our sensibilities. Oh well. That's how we sum it up. And that's what Leonard Farrell just wrote. Oh well. All right? And so I can't understand. You have Zook on the program, at the town hall. He should not even be there because he's not a member of government, of this government, in the sense of a parliamentary representative. But he is in town hall ostensibly to give light onto the Vance Emery International Airport. And he's saying to the Premier, you talk about that. You do the lead on that.
But he's right.
All right? So, what is his purpose? Since 2022, February, when he lost his seat, He's the advisor on the airport. He already collected $300,000 from the people of Nevis. And you can't answer a question as to when your project is going to start, that you are in charge of, that is your singular responsibility.
No, he can't.
You told us all the pieces were together, the financing, the engineering, everything you said was there. But yet you sent to the Premier. You tell them about the financing. Because there's no financing. That's why he pointed to the Premier. They've all been lying at each other.
You see, when you dance with the devil, it is likely that the devil is going to follow you home. The thing about it is that Alexis and the whole cabinet has been dancing around with Mark Brantley, who is the king of lies, the master of lies. That they have become like him and even worse than him when it comes to lying and deception and distortion and crookedness. That they have to do the very same thing and even worse. But what is interesting here, the Premier, when you ask him question about the airport, he's telling you that Alexis Jeffers is the point man dealing with those things with the airport. And when you ask Alexis Jeffers they point you to the Premier. So who do we go to? Who do we listen to? Because both of them are two bare-faced liars and deceivers, has been deceiving us from the beginning. There's no difference between Alexis and Mark when it comes to lying and deceiving. And when you look at the entire cabinet, there's no difference between them and Mark, only that I will say that he has reduced them down to a level that they're worse than him.
Okay. We got to move quickly because we have to be relinquishing the seat here for the play-by-play cricket. I was trying to tune in this morning. I couldn't get it. There was a rain delay or something.
I was looking at...
You found it?
I didn't find it.
I was looking.
Just one announcement, Kel. I just sent you something for the Gingerland.
Oh, yeah, I have it to say. Thank you for that. The Gingerland NRP St. George's group, NRP group, we're having a RB. I like that. RB food. Soup sale on July 19th, all right? Just across from Best Buy in Gingerland. And they have, look at these choices, my goodness. You have bullfoot. I got to get some of this one. Tripe and mutton. Tripe with mutton. I love tripe
Sounds
soup.
good.
Listen, just don't clean it too good. I like a little stain in my tripe, eh? Just don't use no Clorox, no bleach on my tripe. I want a little green or brown in my tripe. Oh, give it the flavor. Chicken soup, lentil soup, fish soup, depending on the type of soup, it's between $15 and $25. Go out and support the St. George's constituency group. July 19th for this RB soup sale.
That's real culture.
Real culture, boy.
RB, real culture.
I just want a little. I want my tripe soup. That's all I want. I haven't had tripe soup since my mother passed.
What?
She used to make the most beautiful tripe soup. You go stay down Prince William Street and smell the pot cooking. You know, it's a cold pot, you know. You have to cook tripe soup in a cold pot. I'm telling you, boy, your mouth watering every time you pass Harold Waters' place there, coming up Prince William Street. You done a run to get the bowl of soup, boy.
So if you go in by Best Buy, you want by the time you hit the Methodist church.
I want to smell the soup.
You want to smell the soup.
I want to smell the soup. I want to smell the soup.
It wouldn't be like the way your mommy did it.
Well,
you don't know.
I don't know. But once they do it right with a little green, I'm going to eat it. All right? So that is St. George's. Okay. We're moving on real quick because we are now 2 minutes, 2:30 already. We just started, you know. Wow. This is another interesting phone call on Wednesday. We're going to play the phone call. We're going to play the call, and then we're going to show you a clip that we didn't have loaded on Thursday evening to contradict what the Premier was saying. So we're going to play the clip for us.
Well, whether he been in a government, yes or not, did we get with money, what? Why the inside of the building break down? The inside of the building leak out, Mr. Mark. Whether you talking about he not been in government, we not call you to tell you about he been in government. The building up there, the inside leak out, so tell us why.
All right, caller, that is not true, and I tell you already, no call in here and tell no lie. The inside of what building leak out, as you say? No work has been done on the building since we closed off the job in 2020. So what leak out about the building? I mean, done with the foolishness. That's why I'm trying to encourage you. I mean, there was a time when you're calling on the radio, you brought substance. You got some people in your head now that tell you all kind of dunceness. Bad people are not dunce people, and bad people are some of the brightest people. So when you got people that make you turn you into dunce, don't say those things because they're not true. And I'm trying to encourage you, trying to get you to, function at the level that I know you can function at. Stop let people got just chulo. You understand? That is not you. Do better.
Those of you who have those of you who are on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, you can see. Those in the FM dial, you can hear. This is a man at the hospital extension with a sledgehammer, breaking down the same walls that Mark Bronte said are not being broken down. The floors are being cut up, two lead pipes, after the fact. Walls are being broken down. And so the Premier is saying, don't be a dunce. Don't be a dunce. But here, who dunce? Well, you think we didn't have this tape? You think we didn't save it for the archives? Look at this thing. Sledgehammer breaking on the wall. There was a pile of debris so big outside the hospital. People were taking pictures, and so he quickly sent the garbage truck, the dump truck up there to collect. Sweep the place clean. So he got down in a condescending way, calling the caller dunce. But look at the video for yourself. Look at the evidence for yourself. This video here was taken in 2022. To be specific, March 2022. We have the files, we have the receipts. How you excuse this kind of behavior? When you're going to berate a man for telling the truth, call him dunce, call him a liar, that people are in his head, and all kind of things, and the evidence says contrary.
Yeah, man, yeah, doctor.
This is something else. How do you deal with this? So those sledgehammers there, what are they doing? What are they making soup? Come on.
All we say, Kelly, is that facts are stubborn things, Facts are stubborn things.
That sledgehammer man is a cousin of mine, closely related. How his grandfather was my uncle. That's how closely related we are. The thing is, I said Thursday and I said again, Mark knew that the walls were knocked out. We have shown this thing over and over, and even before we showed that he knew that he was there. But he wants to try to discredit the caller. Now, in calling the caller dunce, I've pondered that since Thursday after you played the tape, Dr. Daly, and I pondered it even as I'm on my way to the studio. Because I'm saying, here it is. When this caller followed Mark Brantley blindly and take up stones with others to try to fight off an elected government, Hensley Daniel who won the election, and to stone Denzel Douglas and what's not, he was bright. Very bright, very brilliant, because he accepted line, hook, and sinker. The call, according to him, from the Premier who personally called him and tell him, come out here. And whatever was said to them, it came down to such anger that there were stones and people talking about battles and stick to stone people out. All of those who followed that, they were bright people. Nobody was in their head. Nobody was putting nonsense in the head. But because the gentleman sat down, analyzed the failure and the destructive part that the Premier and his government has taken this island and are speaking up for his island, all of a sudden he is dunce, and people is putting dunceness in his head, and he is following people and all kind of foolishness. That to show people, keep as far as possible from Mark, because I have sat down over the past 2 weeks, Dr. Daly, and analyzed Mark. I know what I've discovered? Everybody who was helping him and being close to him, he turned around and did his absolute best to destroy them and to hurt them, as long as he couldn't longer use them. You look at it. I said to people, I'm sorry that I deleted out of my phone Vance in his own voice, bawling and saying that I didn't have an easy time with Mark Brantley. I think we had it easy. This man had his people, his goons, who he sent, hounding me every day for me to move and to give the party to him. Van Sam was bawling. He didn't have an easy time. And I believed it because I knew that he came after me, knowing that I am a full supporter of the Nevis Reformation Party, and knowing that I am a champion in the corner of Joseph Parry. He came after me to get me to go on radio to diss Mr. Parry and to tell Lapan Parry. He did? He did.
Really?
I have information. I have document home that he gave to me. And when I read the document, and let me say, he's such a master deceiver and conman that he gave me page 1, the first page of the document. And so good that the document didn't end with a full stop. So I told myself something more, and I went digging and got the whole document. The bottom line is, he wanted me to go publicly on radio and to demonize and to criticize and to call down Joseph Parry. It didn't work with me. He was able to influence others to come out in the hundreds to march behind him in Charlestown. They were all bright. They were all wise. Nobody was in the head, even though they called them. But now this young man who is wise beyond his years, and you know why Kibo is so wise? Because Kibo came up with his grandmother, who was a Christian, a Bible-believing Christian, and put principle and decency in his head. And when Kibo realized that I have moved away from decency to follow this demon, trade up a child in the way that should go and should not depart from it, he came back home to his roots. And so now Mark is out there to try to humiliate Kibo. Not only that, he did it to Christine, he did it to Parry, he did it to Hansley, he did it to Malcolm, he did it to Yvonne, he did it to Rodney Elliott, and you go down the line and look at all the people who played a pivotal role to help Mark Brantley to move forward. Look at what he did to them and he's doing to them, because they dare to say, I disagree with you.
Well, look what he did to a whole national party.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Moving on real quick, because we only got another 20 minutes, and this last part is the sweet part. This is from the town hall meeting in Hanley's Road. It's a longer clip that you see than you're seeing on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I went as far as my data would go, making sure I get the whole essence of the interview and the interaction. And so it is interesting listening. Here it is. Sorry I don't have a video, but audio is fine.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the question. And the problem we have in our country, I feel, is that we have a lot of pundits who get on radio and get on the internet and engage in their punditry. A lot of opinions. And when they don't have the facts, they make them up. And unfortunately, some of our people listen to that and then start to shape questions and concerns based on stuff that's made up. As a government, we do not own any land, as far as I know, in the area that you have identified. We own Indian Castle, and I believe Mr. Hanley asked a question about Indian Castle, and certainly if and when we have a development at Indian Castle, we will come. Mr. Hanley, incidentally, I had it to answer you. I always try to answer your questions, that the Amman project, if you recall, we would have reported that we severed ties with that developer on Amman. And so the lands at Indian Castle are owned by the government. From Indian Castle going back to Long Point, those are private lands. And so if any of us in this room approaches anybody along that stretch and seeks to negotiate to buy their land, what is the government supposed to do? The issue is you're either going to sell your land or you're not going to sell your land. It's private land. So that's a decision that landowners need to take. I am hearing a lot of hysteria being generated in the country about people buying up land as if it's government that's involved. Government has not been involved because we don't own 1 square foot of land in that area as far as I'm aware. Private individuals are having their conversations. That's a matter for them. If TDC come to you tomorrow and say, can you have 10 acres, I want to buy your 10 acres, you either say yeah or you say nay. How the government get involved in that? So a lot of people, I think, are building up all this chatter and this hysteria. I can tell you that we have had an initial approach by some developers who said they want to do a development along that coast. Nothing formal in terms of a formal submission has come to the cabinet. So as we are sitting here tonight, I cannot say to you in good conscience that we have a project that has come and that is being discussed. We have said to those potential developers, the government doesn't own any land in the area, so if you want to do development that involves land, go and talk to the landowners and see who is willing to sell you their land. Well, so I need to ask the question this way. If you own a piece of land and you decide you're going to sell your land, what do you want the government to do about that? Can we stop you from selling your land? We can't. Can we tell you that who to sell your land to? How much to sell it for?
We can.
None of those things involve the government. So you have private individuals being approached about whether they're willing to sell their private land, and people cussing the government and saying the government is involved in this and that. We're not involved in anything. You're either going to sell your land or you're not going to sell your land. And it's a matter for you and for private individuals.
I wasn't trying to imply, I hope I didn't imply that the government owned the land. I wasn't saying that the government owned the land. Yes, Mr. Premier, you're correct. If a person wants to sell their land, they can sell their land. However, because you're the Premier, as you say, the buck stops with you. Right? So if all this chatter is going around and it's rumors, then I would say it falls on you to clarify to us who are concerned what's going on, what's really going on. Because even if I own, say, 10 acres of land and I decided to sell it to someone privately, I think government, because you are elected to look out for the interests of the masses of the people, would want to ensure that whatever is going on anywhere on the island doesn't hurt the people. So I asked the question to get clarification, and I think the best place to ask the question is right here. Yes, you can sell your land to whoever you want to sell it to. The government cannot stop you. But then if you're hearing that it's going to become something so private and so exclusive that perhaps, because as you say, it's rumor, perhaps I may not be able to go down there with my grandchild. I may not be able to fish. The boat may not be able to go out. That to me then falls on government to make sure it looks out for the people and let us know what's really going on in the area.
Well, I think that's fair, but as you say, you started by saying rumor, and I would be a fool as Premier to sit up here and say I'm responding to every rumor. If I had to deal with every rumor that I hear every day, I would have no time to do the actual work for the people of Nevis. So if you have rumors or you're listening to rumors, I would suggest read the Bible instead.
Maybe it's not a rumor.
Because, I am saying that we as government have no knowledge of what you're speaking because no formal proposal has come to the government. I explained that. So here you are talking about rumors, and you're asking me as Premier to respond to rumors. I say read the Bible, read Genesis. I think it's a far better use of your time.
Mr. Premier, are you confirming that it is a rumor? Are you confirming that it's a rumor and there's no truth to it?
But I don't know. Am I not speaking English? I'm trying my very best to explain that the government has no proposal before it for any development of the kind that you say is rumored. That is what I'm saying. If and when such a thing comes, consistent with our transparent approach, we will definitely come and talk about it.
But we should be concerned, shouldn't we? We should be concerned.
You should be
Because
concerned about rumors.
it may not be a rumor. We don't know. The average person, me, the individual in the community, and the reason why we're here tonight, right, is to come to people so you could hear from them. So please don't try to shut me up, okay? I have a right to speak as a Nivision. I have a right to speak as a Gingerlander. I live in this community, so please calm.
Miss Basley.
My name is not Miss Bazzi. My name is Carlin Lawrence.
Carlin Lawrence.
Okay, Miss Bazzi works at Nevis.
We're scheduled to stop at 9 o'clock.
What I am asking from Mr. Scarborough is the Premier. I have to ask here because the average person don't know. We're hearing it. It could be a rumor and it may not be a rumor. And since we want to play games with words, since the real estate agency, right, that is being said to be dealing with the developer is Mrs. Brantley's agency, then I have to ask.
Mrs. Lawrence, if that is some attempt to drag Mrs. Brantley's real estate agency, as you're saying, to your rumor mongering, then I ask you to desist. Miss Lawrence, hear me out. You asked a question. You have come to the town hall meeting. You have premised a whole debate tonight on some rumor that you say you have been hearing. I don't know how am I supposed to respond to that. I respond to facts. I respond to situations that we are aware of that are on the ground. I said to you that the government has had no formal proposal setting out any project of the kind that you've described.
But that wasn't my question.
I've said that 3 times. And every time I've told you that you're going back to say what you hear, your rumor, what you hear.
All right.
Well,
hold on, Danny. Here are the facts. This person or persons who are interested in carving off 6 square miles of Nevis from Long Point to Butlers did not arrive here by accident. They were invited here as investors. And you don't have to guess who invited them here as investors. There's another fact. 17 Degrees North, owned by the wife of the Premier, Sharon Brantley, is the real estate agent who have been trying to convince Nivisions since last year to part with their lands. 6 square miles of land. All right? And here's another fact. 17 Degrees North have been harassing people to part with their land, emails, WhatsApp messages, conference calls, meetings at Daniel Brantley's conference room to try to get people to sell their land. This claim the Premier made that he has no idea because no formal proposition or proposal has come to them is a lie. It's a lie. It is a lie. And he knows it. He knows it's a lie. He said, hear what he said in his words. There was an initial approach by developers. So they just walked into the office and walked back out. They didn't tell you exactly what they wanted. How did your wife get involved? It was clear. It is clear as day that the initial approach was, we want to acquire all that land from Long Point to Butlers. And we want to get your wife as the agent to do it for us. How else would Miss Brantley get involved in it if she was invited to be the agent for it? Who is the one making all the calls to all the landowners? Dozens and dozens of landowners. Hours spent in the land registry trying to find all the owners who own land between Long Point and Butlers, all the way up to Saddle Hill. Who has been doing that kind of research?
It's his wife. And so for him to say,
rumors.
It's all rumors. This is not rumors. He has yet to speak on the matter that has before him. I'm brought up by. We've been talking about this. We've been addressing this matter for a long time. He has yet to say it is not true. Carlene gave him out by saying there are rumors. So he jumped on that, gladly jumped on that. But these are not rumors. These are facts.
But you ready?
These are facts that they've been trying to get this development so that they can get off 6 square miles of Nevis for their own cryptocurrency enclave out there. And he is now caught in the headlight trying to distance himself and say, oh, leave my wife out of that. Your wife is an agent. Real estate agent. What are you talking about, leave your wife out? It's greed got all you. It's greed got all you.
But Kel, you didn't you read text messages last week coming from the people asking people to sell them the land?
Of course.
You laid that on the thing. And just to say, the government of the Nevis can stop any sale anywhere, anytime.
That's another point I was to make.
Anytime, because if we interpret this to mean it is going to affect the large majority of the people, hell no, we stop it. And when we were in government, we did stop some of them.
Listen, what people need to understand.
No joke about this.
Once you're not a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis,
alien land holding license,
you must acquire, even for 1 inch,
a quarter acre.
You have to get an alien land holding license. That license is issued by who?
The cabinet.
The cabinet of the government.
Brought to the cabinet.
You understand?
By the Minister of Lands.
And so when he says this is private lands and the government not going to control, it's nonsense.
So when the premier said that if I'm a private person, I could sell my land
to
anybody
who I want. It doesn't work like that.
If we agree. Because, okay, if you take up, let us say, for instance, you own the land in front of the hospital in Nevis, and you're taking the land to go put down an entertainment center. Oh, no, the government said, no, we're not approving it for that. You can't have that yes or so in front of a hospital or next to the, what you call it, the flamboyant home care across the street.
But
you're crazy.
You can't sell it to a rich man coming from America.
No, we will decide.
The point is,
cabinet deal with that.
Cabinet has the final say on the sale of lands
to foreigners.
Yes. You said
even to local people.
You said something earlier.
What's that?
That the premier Shamebacks mash up.
Yeah.
This is clear evidence that this man have absolutely no shame.
But he believes
the rest of the people.
He's been lying for so long that he believes he can keep getting away with lying. But we have the receipts and we have the knowledge. All right? We have the tapes. And so he has been lying through his teeth. He has been actively engaged in this whole acquisition. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. You let her sleep in the bed with the same woman for all these years.
You don't know.
She is using your conference room, your law office. And in at least two circumstances, she even offered, listen, if you come to a situation where you need a trust, an agent.
An agent.
What do you call him again now? Anyway.
Okay, let's move on.
If you need an agent to handle the money that we're going to send, Daniel Brandt is available. This is the fact.
Wait, so Daniel's wife is trying to buy, and then
the husband law firm do the paperwork and do the transaction. This was said more than once. This was said to me by persons who had conferences at that same office.
And he's saying that this is rumors?
This is rumors. It's not rumors. Let's take this call.
Rumor?
Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yes, good afternoon, Dr. Daly.
Good afternoon.
This is certainly an educational moment for the people of Nevis, for those who didn't know. And may I add, that same foreigner after buying land and getting the approval from government to own it, if they ever decide to sell it, they have to go back to government to get an approval to sell it as well. They can't just haphazardly buy or sell. So certainly the people of Nevis, I hope they can appreciate that this is an educational moment.
Of course.
This situation here that we're looking at, Nevisians better wake up. Nevisians need to wake up, and not only this situation, but a lot of what is going on around us. Open your eyes, ask questions, and don't just flippantly react to something you're hearing. Find out, ask questions. The questions are out there, and you will get answers. But Nevisians need to understand, because we may wake up one morning and find out we don't own anything in Nevis.
Thank you very much.
That's the frightening part to me. And my parents and my grandparents and those that came before worked hard to make sure whatever we have it, and not for us to lose it. Good afternoon, Dr. Daly.
Thank you, dear. Thank you very much. We got good listeners. I was told the word you're looking for is escrow agent. Thank you for that.
You want to put the money in escrow?
Yeah, I want to put the money in escrow.
So Daniel Bradley Associates
does escrow too. Yeah. That's an escrow agent also.
So my wife is doing the buying, and then my wife is telling me that my husband law firm will secure money for you. One stop shop.
Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yeah, good afternoon to the listening public.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you guys in the
I was just about to send police to look and see if you're okay, because
I'm good.
My brother is good.
But anyway, here I want to remind the people. You remember under the Honorable Joseph led administration, they had wanted to put an oil storage on that end.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the people remember that.
Mm-hmm.
The government then had a town hall meeting in Bath in the community center. There were some people who came in their bus load from Jones Estate, and they were complaining bitterly about putting that place behind them. And when they don't talk, you know who get up inside that place and defend them? That same nigger man we are talking about today. I wonder if the people remember it. It was a long-term plan for him. But let me say to him, that nigger man there, it takes time to find the ants belly. But we find it. And we can get rid of the ants. And I'm saying to Nevis people, this not got nothing to do with no system and no NRP. This has to do with the soul of Nevis and the generation behind us. We can sit down in this country and do. Let them nigger man they left that generation landless. Because that's what you do. We have to get rid of the man. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for that.
I would just make two very quick points, Kel, on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ivor Stevens used to say, if you should have known, you knew. If you're the premier of the country, you don't know.
I wouldn't even go
Not even that. So that's elementary.
There's not even a possibility.
Exactly. And then Carleen mentioned something about rumor. All rumor may not be truth, but all rumor comes from truth.
Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target.
But Dr. Daly,
yes,
if we remember correctly, that whole project that was going to start in the Long Point area and affect all of the lands along there included a medical center, and also all the way over to the Newcastle airport. The planes, my understanding was based on the presentation that was given that night, because I was there in person, that the planes from across the Caribbean were going to be coming to Nevis to refuel, because the oil storage would have been here. So would we have been facing an airport today, sitting doing nothing? Do you know how much traffic would have been coming through our airports, through the Nevis airport today, that would not have left us in the mess that we're in?
Thank you, caller. You're always on point. All right. Now, here's the situation, gentlemen. First fact, there's no way in hell. What? There's no way in hell that Brantley did not know. He's claiming there was no formal proposal brought before government. All right? So he would have known of a proposal by conversation, according to him. He would have known of that. And that's why Mrs. Brantley got onto the bandwagon and started to buy. All right? The mere fact that she's offering her husband service as an escrow agent for those who have decided to sell tells you what you need to know. The mere fact that persons up to today are being harassed to the point where one person told me they're looking to get legal advice to stop the harassing because they can't deal with it. Yeah. Too much pressure is being put on people to part with the land.
Text messages.
All right? And for him to sit in front of an audience and say, I don't know what you're talking about. It's all rumors. People making facts, make up their own facts. This guy is just a shameless liar. A liar. He's a liar. You understand? And here we are. This matter has been before us, and I'm glad it has reached now to the point where it is getting the coverage it deserves. Because it's now a national address that he has to give regarding this matter. He can't hide from this anymore. He cannot hide from it anymore. It's now out there. People in St. Kitts are carrying the story. People in Nevis are carrying the story. People in the diaspora are carrying the story. He cannot hide from this. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, on target.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
On this matter over the lands over Long Point, let us accept, you want to sell your land, you sell it to who you want to. Now let's look at it in the position, put ourselves in the shoes of the purchaser. To date, the purchaser has had umpteen costs, in other words, individual contracts that have been written. The lawyers don't work for free, they charge. All the research that comes into land ownership and so on, that costs money. And so, would somebody go to the trouble of trying to purchase what, 6 miles?
6 miles.
6 square miles of Nevis.
Yes, right.
Okay, for a project.
It's supposed to be an enclave.
3,600. Project, okay? Without at least verbal permission from the authority that is going to give permission for the project to go ahead. Because purchasing it is anything. Don't forget you have to go to planning and cabinet to get permission to do with the land what you wish to do with it. So you're going to tell me, this guy, he either or he mum, if he's going to spend all of that money attempting to purchase all of that land without some form of agreement with the government that do with the land after purchasing it what he wishes to do with it. What fool would go and buy land without permission to build the house before by the land? What fool would buy land to go to metros for the government to come around and say that's for entertainment only? Right? We have zoning, we have planning. So for anybody to have spent the kind of money that has been spent already, because don't think, right? Each sales contract is going to cost what? 1.5% of the value. And they must get at least 100 sales. Okay? So that is a major point.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you, caller, as usual.
Okay.
Yeah, the point the caller was making, why would an investor spend that class of money trying to buy 6 square miles only to be told at the end no deal. Cabinet can't help you. Can't happen. Cannot happen. The Premier admitted there was an initial approach, and he must have given the assurance. Go ahead. He must have given the assurance. Go ahead. But make sure you use my wife. My wife is a real estate agent. Make sure you use my wife mine. Because there might not be a deal. You understand? And so this whole kulabaloo, he trying to, this mama guy in people, that no formal proposal. My brother, we're not in infant school, you know.
He's not your brother.
Well, he ain't my sister either.
My premier.
All right? And so we have a situation here where even a grade school child can figure this is nonsense. Because this is not how government works. You make the approach, go ahead. We're going to give you the green light. What bothers me is the complicity with all the other members of the cabinet, including Eric Evelyn, who is the representative for St. George's, where part of the land is. Brantley controls the whole of St. John's, but Eric also controls the eastern part of this whole project site. You understand? And so what we are facing here is treasonous collusion between members of the government. And I remind you, last week, Saturday, I took some time to explain a case in Honduras where the government had to go into their parliament and create laws to create a similar enclave in Honduras. Illegally. You understand? These people are billionaires. They want their own islands within the islands. They want their own legislation to protect themselves. They want to operate within their own space without any encumbrances from our government and our people. They want to partition us off from our own country. And Mark Brantley and his wife are part and parcel of that conspiracy to defraud the people of Nevis of their lands. This is a fact. He can't say he did not know. There's no way this could be possible.
Rumor.
Can't be a rumor. I've done video after video of the landscape. He has never once said a lie. But now it's a rumor. Let's take this call here. Good afternoon, on target.
Yeah, good afternoon, man. Good afternoon to you fellas, man.
Make it quick because we're out of time.
Yeah, basically, I just want to echo what the previous callers was talking about this. The lands on the south side of Nevis. Anyhow, those landowners part ways with those lands, we can kiss Nevis goodbye. And I just wanted to add another thing is that if we notice there is no infrastructure has been put into that area of Nevis. But once those people part ways with those lands, we will see how quick that infrastructure goes in. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. You guys have a good day.
Thank you, brother. All right. Dulu, do we have cricket?
I'm not sure. I was not looking into it.
Okay.
But
all right. So
we're gonna be out.
we have to go because one last call.
This is action, you know. You have to have a program on the land, you know, kid.
Good afternoon, on target. You're the last call for today.
Yeah, good afternoon. Hear what you said to the people, MJ, especially these landowners in that side of the country. Look on the Western Nevis here and see I look good and see what happening. We're losing our country, you know, by these people. And who they using? Who they using? Some corrupted, greedy people who extract our land from under us. People, remember the generation coming. We can't let these people landless. We can't let our generation landless. People that we get rid of Mark. People that we get rid of Mark and play. Mark is not an asset to this country. Mark is a liability. We all know that. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for that. With that, we are finished for today.
You finish on a liability.
But we are out of here. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you all for your support, your comments on the Facebook feed, all of your attention.
Somebody's not agreeing with you.
Oh, Lord. You're breaking my heart. Hello, you're on target.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. You got 1 second.
Listen, in Haiti, when we block the road.
Excuse me?
Yeah, they take 1 hour.
You're really gobbling. I can't hear a thing you're saying.
In Haiti, when we block the road.
Can't. I'm not hearing you. Son boy, Haiti.
I say in Haiti, when we block the road.
Sorry, I can't. We're trying our best to understand what you're saying. You might sound clear to yourself, but we're not hearing you at all. So maybe the connection is bad.
In Haiti, when we block the road.
Oh, they block the road in Haiti when they do something. They block
Oh, they block the road when they say
Haiti when we vex.
Okay.
When we vex, we block the road.
All right, we finally got you.
In Haiti when we vex, we block the road.
Thank you for that. That's a word of wisdom here. Thank you for that. All right, folks, that's it. We're done. See you next week, Saturday, God willing. Be good, be safe for the rest of the weekend. Bye.
With the call.
Yeah, you did.
Last couple of times, Constance had really committed.
Yeah. So one to come in the first over from Alzari Joseph. As he turns now, the big sprawling George Helly stand behind him and begins to move in on his way to bowl to the right-handed Constance, who's got 7, and to this delivery, he's off the back foot. And as he was saying, Caribbean parlance, picking the ball